Welcome to Breakfast Food, the weekly themed comedy podcast featuring feel-good stories, stupid anecdotes, and advice you didn't even know you wanted. From me, Annabel Logan.
And me, Cara McKinley. Hi. I'm just pulling the tone up, and we're getting there with the energy straight away.
Thanks for doing that. Oh my gosh, how's your week been?
My week's been full. It was Hannah's birthday 2 days ago, which was lovely, and now I am sunburnt.
I can't tell from the old Zoom video.
Because I was very careful. I was and am very careful with my factor 50. For those of you who don't know what I look like, I'm very pale, and I will burn no matter what. So I had been really careful. Factor 50. We went up Arthur's Seat. We had a picnic, and then I was doing it again. And at that point, I was like, the top of my neck feels really tight. And then it turns out that I just hadn't managed to reach that part of me the first time round. With so yeah, I basically just have a smiley face at the top of my back.
Oh no, that's a hard bit.
Burn.
That's the bit I always forget to do as well. The back of
it's
my
tough.
neck. Oh yeah.
Especially because I had long hair for my whole life. So for 26 years I had long hair and didn't have to think about my neck. And now I have short hair and my neck and my little ears. I need to think about it.
Back of the ears. Oh my gosh. Yes. Oh, gross. I got sunburnt not this time, but the last warm day we had when there was sun. That was a few weeks ago. And I got really badly burnt, and that's when I also remembered I had factor 50 sun cream.
Yeah, I specifically went out and bought it. We went, I think the day before Hannah's birthday or 2 days before, we went for a jaunt to Home Bargains, which was the highlight of the week. Home Bargains is just, Hannah has a love for supermarkets. She loves them so much, and I quite enjoy them too, not to the same extent, but I do really enjoy them. So Home Bargains was just fun. We went there, we got what we needed, we got some shampoo, we got some kitchen foil, and then we just went up and down the aisles do we need a dinosaur?
Yes.
Do we need some lawn chairs? Do we need this? We actually did, but I'm not going to tell you what game it is. It'll be a fun surprise. We did pick up a game, a cheap version of a game, which we're going to alter in some way.
Oh, can we play it?
Yeah, we probably could actually. It's a physical game. I'd have to send you half of it, but we can do that.
I'm very intrigued.
Yeah, we can play it in the future. Maybe I'll tell you off mic, but I'll keep it a secret.
Okay.
I'll keep it a secret for the pod.
Love it.
But, yeah, how's your week been? What's your week been?
Oh, fine. Yeah, just sort of bitty and a little bit busier, but sort of good stuff. So I make it, for anyone that doesn't follow me on the old Instagram, I make stupid videos, comedy videos, funny videos about
funny informative videos.
Yeah, I have a series called Learning German, and I myself am trying to learn German as a second language, and I find German a very hilarious, amusing language anyway. And it actually helps me learn to make silly videos about things. And they are dumb. I would not say they were educational in any way.
But you are bringing up, points. You bring up, grammar points. And, words beginning with blah, blah, blah. And, I think they're great.
Thanks. So I've been making one of those. So that's going to be going up probably tomorrow, the day after, something like that.
Nice.
And yeah, I've had very exciting news. I am featured in Total Film magazine.
Ooh, awesome.
Yeah.
Is that for Death of a Vlogger?
Yes, so the film that there's a film that I'm in where it's going to be released in beginning of July on lots of places. I'll tell you more about it later. But we got a good solid 4-star review in Total Film.
Ah,
and my
that's amazing.
Little face is there. I know. So we're really excited. After we finish this, I'm going to jump out and go to Tesco and grab a copy. Anyway,
the weekly waffle is nothing to do with any of the stuff that we've been talking about.
Not at all.
the waffle this week was chosen by you guys.
Yeah.
I put up a poll on the Instagram, and actually there was a tie for second place, so we maybe do one of those next week. But first place was customer service stories.
Customer service.
Yes, customer service.
I honestly thought this was the one that wouldn't gain any traction.
Me too. I was expecting, I don't want to say which one I was expecting because I want to keep it, keep some mystique. I'm gonna but yeah, I didn't think customer service, but I suppose quite a lot of our friends, or quite a lot of people in general, have worked in customer service at some point. So like everyone has stories, and everyone can relate to the stories that other people have. So yeah, I can kind of see how
it makes sense
felt this way.
And it's really exciting. It's really made us delve into rethinking about stuff.
I was just saying, we were just saying off mic a second ago, like, for some, I swear I must block out a lot of my bad customer service memories, because when we saw that one that had been chosen, I was like, oh god, like I can't think of any, oh my god, and I was like, what am I gonna do? What am I gonna talk about? And then I thought about one, and then all of a sudden I had like opened the floodgates to all of these other stories. And even then there's like quite a lot of jobs I've had have been tour guiding jobs, like giving tours, and for some reason, even though I know there's a bajillion stories, I can't think of any right now. So I'm like, what have I repressed?
I know. Yeah, I'm kind of similar. I kind of have vague memories of things, but again, most of the things, I think you're right, I block them out. And if I was having a particularly bad day, it kind of all just blurs. I don't know, that's so bad, but but I do have I will be telling a couple of stories of of people helping me in customer service, and me being a very difficult person, not in a horrible way, but just having a crisis, and them actually being wonderfully awesome about it and helping me through.
That's good.
So yeah, we'll see how
all of the stories I've written down is just people being horrible, like customers being bad.
I'd like to hear some of your stories.
One of the stories is actually not a bad thing. It's just that in my career as a tour guide person or other, I've had 2 proposals, or people proposing, should I say, actually, let me rephrase that. I've had 2 people proposing on my tours. And one of them I'd gotten an email before, and he was like, is there anything we can do? And I happened to be the manager at that point, and I was like, done and done. I love. So I set them up this huge big thing, and we did a big thing for them. But the other one, it was at Mary King's Close, and I hadn't been warned, and I think I completely ruined it for them by mistake.
Oh no, I didn't know someone proposed at Mary King's Close. What?
Oh my god, yes. So it was at the bit where you get your picture taken at the end of the tour.
Oh, I do remember this.
Yeah.
Okay.
For people who've not been on that tour, at the end of the tour, you find yourself on like a steep old street under a building. So it's like really eerie, really cool looking. And that's where you get like your, picture taken. So I'd sent these 2 people up, a man and a woman, and he was stood really far away from her on the street. So I was making a bunch of jokes, and I was like, scooching together, like pretend like you know each other, And he was like, yeah, I'm gonna do something. And I was like, my response was literally like, okay. Because at that point I was already just done. I had already worked there for so long, and I just couldn't be arsed anymore. So I was just like, okay. And then I was like, right, look above me, 3, 2, 1. And then he got down on one knee, and I started screaming because I've never seen a live proposal before. And obviously I was taking like 100, I just kept hitting the button over and over again to take pictures. But I was screaming, actively screaming. And everyone else in the tour group, they were like in like an alcove, so they couldn't see what was happening. All they could see was that I was looking up a big old creepy street, screaming and taking pictures. Until one of them poked their head out, and they were like, oh, it's a proposal. And everyone was like, oh, okay.
Oh, it's not murder.
Yeah.
Okay.
But it got worse. It got worse. It got cringier. The more I tell this story, the worse I feel about myself, because I fully ruined it for them. So he gave her the ring. She's holding it, whatever. I get too excited and I start chanting, put it on, put it on. Yes, I know. And then obviously no one else chanted, because why the fuck would you? Like, why would you join in with that? So she put the ring on, and like that's whatever. And then the worst thing about that is after the point where you get your picture taken, there's another good 15 minutes left of the social historical tour. So I was just like, how do I... And she's also in the dark, so she's trying to look at this ring, but she's like in the pitch black.
Oh no.
So it got to a point where I was like talking about like the rest of the tour, but I just had my little torch shone on her hand so that she could see this ring. It was such a weird...
That is
and then
weird.
It was ridiculous. Then we got to the top, and I talked to them after it, because I was like, here, you can have a bunch of photographs for free. Please don't tell anyone about how I reacted. And then I was like, oh, is this like your favourite place? Like to her. I was like, is this your favourite place? Do you like this place a lot? And she was like, I've never been here before.
Yeah, I was going to say, like, did you know why? Like, that's a really weird flex, as they would say, to be like, okay, we're going to propose. I'm going to propose here. Like, did you guys meet in a basement?
Nothing.
Like, what?
Did you guys meet in a basement? No. She wasn't that into history. She had never been to Mary King's Close before. Like, it seemed like he had just decided he was going to do it that day, and it happened to be that they were doing Mary King's Close that day. Like, that's what it felt like.
Odd. Oh my.
So weird. But yeah, it stood me in good stead for the next time someone wanted to propose, because at that point I was like, right, keep your cool. Make it magical. Don't shout at them.
Make it magical. I love
Make it magical. It was pretty magical though.
That reminds me of when I used to do reenactment sort of things up at Edinburgh Castle.
Oh yeah.
I'd dress up as like Mary Queen of Scots and stuff, and
get your head chopped off.
Yeah, it was casual. And every the place I would do this in was like the Great Hall essentially, and they would do proposals in that hall, and it was so awkward because like you would see these people come in, and obviously they all have radios, the staff, and they were like, okay, like, the boat is coming through the door.
Oh god.
And he obviously it's usually the guy that proposes in these cases, but he would come in looking horribly nervous and a bit like sway, and they would get led to a kind of little balcony, so it was so unsubtle, and they're like, we have a special bit of the tour for you to see. And it was so awkward. And then they would end up on this balcony, and there was like some champagne and stuff, and there was
that's nice.
It is cute, and it was like by this giant picture of this guy on a horse. It was so romantic. Yeah. And
wow.
I saw quite a few. Like, that happened a lot, considering I barely worked there. There was a lot of proposals in that castle.
Edinburgh Castle, I mean, to the fact that they had sectioned off a whole balcony for it, it must be like, it must be a big part of the... I thought, after that one at Stargazing, so the other proposal that I saw was at Tekapo Stargazing, so obviously that's pretty romantic.
Mm-hmm. That makes much more sense than like...
Yeah, I thought I'd see way more.
Aww.
I know! But because he was really sweet. He messaged me before it. He was trying to figure it all out with me, and I was like, "Yup." I was like, "You're talking to the right person." I love love. I love proposals. I'm ready for it. So what we did was, they were on the normal tour, and I told everybody I worked with. I was like, "This is happening." So everybody was like, "Can I work tonight? Can I work tonight?" And then by the time I had said to the whole group, because obviously I didn't want to tell anybody else in the group that it was happening, but the guy wanted it filmed, so like. I had to like make sure everybody was okay with that. So I told the group we were doing promo shots for the website. And I was like, are you guys okay with promo shots? And everyone in the group thankfully was like, yeah, that's fine. I was like, great. And I told him, I was like, I'm going to just do the tour as normal, but then when you break to go and look at the telescopes, and when I say for everyone to come back again, like you be at the front. Yeah. He's like, okay. So I did that, and I prepared this like speech for them to like chat to him. There's a video of it actually. I'll see if I can find a video and I'll put it up on the Instagram. Because there was like, by the time that they like got to that part, there was maybe like 15 people filming, just like people who worked at the Springs, just like with their phones out filming, like. But I did a little speech for them, and then he proposed, and she said yes, and it was lovely. And then the best part of that tour, other than like the gorgeous stars, is after the tour you get to go and sit in the hot pools like under the stars for a while. So I had opened up a second hot pool just for them. And they had like a nice romantic little time. Yeah, it was really sweet. I have not been invited to the wedding and I'm gutted.
That's a shame. Why?
Absolutely raging, absolutely raging. However, that actually leads me on to some bad customer service stories.
Excellent.
From Tekapo Stargazing. Yeah, I had one night where there was it was someone else doing the tour that night actually, and someone came up to me and was like, I think some people on this person's tour are drunk. Because obviously stargazing happens at night. So some people would come up and they'd have a drink in them. They were like, I think these people are drunk, and they were wasted drunk. So I'd said to like a few of them, I was like, you need to leave. But then the other ones seemed okay. Then we got them in the pool, because that's one of the reasons we have to chuck them off, is because they need to go into a pool of water. Yeah, we can't have them drowning anyway. So they were in the pool. They seemed fine. And then I was like, has one of you got a bottle of wine?
Oh.
Like, one of them had brought a bottle of wine into the hot pool with them. And I was like,
where did it come from?
I don't know. I was like, well, actually, I do know. That's another part of the story. I was like, excuse me. I was like, please give me that bottle of wine and get out my hot pool. So I told him he had to leave and all that sort of stuff. And he was like, oh, like, the only way back into town is, like, with these guys, can I just sit by the side of the pool or whatever? And I was like, you may sit out the front, away from the pool, away from your friends. But I took the wine bottle off them and I just chucked it in the bin, because I was like, whatever, put it in the bin. It turns out he wasn't even the drunk one. There was another drunk one in the... Anyway, so we get to the end of that. They're all dressed again, and they came out to me, because I was getting the pool sort of shut down for the night. And they came out to me and they were like, hey, I know we're really sorry, but can we get that bottle of wine back? And I was like, it's in the bin. And they were like, you don't know how much we paid for that bottle of wine. Like, please, we need that bottle of wine back. And I was like, right, fine. I was at that point, I was just so annoyed. I was like, well, you can fish it out of that bin if you want. I was like, whatever. But then, fucking icing on the cake, turns out it was not a bottle of wine. It was a bottle of straight vodka. What? And it was my friend. It was my friend who'd sold it to them for $90.
What? Wait, like at the place?
Like in town before they came to the thing. So like, it turns out that night there was a party going on. So Tekapo, if I haven't spoken about it in the podcast yet, Tekapo is this tiny, tiny, tiny little village in New Zealand. It's got maybe 300 people in it. It has one bar, and that one bar holds one party once a month. Right? So that must have been the night for the party. And my friend, these guys were there. They had to leave the party. They wanted to get like a carry-away, like takeaway thing of alcohol, and the bar was like, no. And my friend Hannah, being ever the chancer, was like, oh, I'll sell you some vodka. And she must have said, I'll sell you some vodka for $100, like joking. And then they like haggled her to 90, and she was like, what? Yeah, okay. What? So she just like ran home, found her vodka, just put it in a wine bottle and gave it to me. I gave it to them. So when I found this out, because she knew she knew they were going on a tour, so I was raging at her. And she was like, I thought they were going on like the other tour. There's like a different stargazing tour. And I was like, why would you still sell them a bottle of vodka in a wine pot? Like, what the fuck?
I am amazed. That makes no logical sense to me. I know. I would... How desperate must you be for a drink? Jesus.
I know.
Have some self-restraint.
I know, that's the thing. $90. They spent $90 on a bottle of vodka wine. Yeah. And then they tried to like haggle me into letting them have it and letting them stay on the tour, and it was ridiculous.
Oh my goodness. Yeah. I'm glad I don't work in bars and stuff. I used to work in a few bars when I was kind of younger, like you know, like 18, 19, 20, and oh my gosh, like the amount of like gross things. Like there was one bar I worked in Inverness, and it was just full of disgusting people, and I've just thought of amazing stories. This is great.
Yeah, see, this is what I'm telling you. They just come up.
Quick bar stories. My first horrible bar experience, when I was grabbing some ice to fill up at the bar, and there was like rowdy, horrible men, and they grabbed some of the ice from my bucket and they threw the ice down my shirt.
No.
Yeah.
Gross.
And
Why?
I just turned 18, and I was like,
that's
what
horrible.
The hell? And they were just so sleazy, and they were like, ugh. And it was that kind of bar where people would like wave money in your face so they could get served. Oh, it was the worst. However, in another bar I worked in, over the summer. It was this tiny, very weird, very local bar in Cumbria, and I have another ghost story about that, but I can save that for later.
Yes,
But the bar was owned by a husband and wife, and one day I went to like get some stuff and stock up. It was in the afternoon. I walk into the kitchen and I find the husband with like another woman. And
oh my god.
yeah, and they're like pushed up. Like they basically have been like sort of having a major snog sesh. And
What?
I walked in and I caught them, and again I was probably like 19, 20, and I saw them and I was like, what the fuck? And I didn't know what to do. Like it was that moment where they knew I had seen, I had definitely seen, and then they were just sort of like, oh, that was nothing. Oh, yeah, that's not what you saw. You know, all that shit. And
oh my god.
I actually ended up talking to some of the people that worked there, because I just was like, does the wife, like, what's going on there?
Yeah.
And I wanted to know what was happening. And apparently the wife was totally aware of this affair going on.
Oh.
And yeah, and she was just like not happy at all about it, but she just resigned herself to it.
Oh no.
I know. And the wife was so much hotter than this other rando woman anyway.
Also, that's just how it fucking goes. I bet she was way hotter than the guy as well. That's just how it goes.
The guy was disgusting. He was so
That's honestly
sleazy.
How it goes. I don't understand. It's literally because the bar for men is on the floor that like literally any guy can just step over it and be like, I'm the best person. And then like women who are like a 10 will be like, yeah, I guess so. Like, stop settling for that. Oh my god.
And you could see like she had such little self-esteem, and she was clearly put upon, and they're in this tiny, like, literally it's a village in Cumbria, and I was just like, it made me so, and you know, now if I was so young and I wish I'd been more vocal, but like now where if I'd seen that now, I would have kicked up some shit and I would have been like, you can't do this. But oh man, it was the weirdest thing. It was like something you see out of a film and you're like, that never happens in real life.
It totally does sound like a film thing.
Oh man, so that just reminded me, I put that out of my mind, clearly. Oh my god.
Clearly.
Oh Jesus.
Oh man. Oh, rubbish.
Sorry, that's not a very funny story, I know.
No,
but
that's fine.
I think they sold up about 2 years later, so maybe
hopefully it's because
left.
Hopefully she decided it was time. I'm sure that she was wonderful, and I'm sure that relieving a thing is really difficult, so like I don't blame her at all for not leaving. Like leaving a thing is super hard, but I hope that she's got a support network to show her that she's amazing and that she doesn't need to be with this stupid, probably smells terrible man. Probably stinks.
Yeah, he stinks. He did. He was
probably
so
smells
sweaty,
like old chips and sweat.
He was pretty much 75% grease. So there.
I'm trying to think. I have another stargazing story.
Oh, cool.
This one was one that it was like a younger Cara had set me up for this one because I was again managing at this point. This is one of the reasons I don't particularly care to be a manager again. I was managing at this point, and I had this woman had been on the tour, and she came out, and everyone was leaving, and she looked a little bit like iffy, like she had like a pale sort of face, and I was like, "Are you okay?" And she was like, "Yeah, I just need to go and lie down." I was like, "No worries." And then another woman was like, "Oh, I just overheard that. I just thought I'd let you know, like, she actually did throw up in the bathroom." And I was like, "Oh, okay." And she was like, "Yeah, it's kind of everywhere."
Oh, no.
And I was like, "Oh," like this woman was just gonna, like, obviously she was embarrassed, so she like didn't want to say to me I threw up all over the place. So she was just like, "Yeah, I'm fine," like for me to fucking find it later on. But I went in there, and she hadn't thrown up in the toilet; she'd thrown up in the sink. So it was like, it was just, it was all over the sink, it was all over the floor, it was all over the mirror in front of the sink.
No.
And I remember the guide who was guiding came in and was like, "Oh," and like looked at me and was like, I can get that if you need me to get that. But then I had like a flashback. In the moment, I had a flashback to a time in Mary King's Close where someone had, I don't know what had happened in that bathroom, but someone had not went in the toilet when they should have gone in the toilet.
No.
And I remember, yeah, it was really bad. It was really bad. It was one of those ones where you look at it and you're just like slack jawed, like, how has this happened? How has this become? But and I remember that time, I remember the manager that day asking me to clean it up, and I remember turning around to the manager and doing the classic, I don't get paid enough to deal with this thing. And that resounded in my brain when my employee was looking to me being like, I can clean this up if you want. And I had to be like, I'm sorry, but you don't get paid enough to clean this up, and I do, and now it has to be me. And now I have to do it. So I literally just like, obviously I cleaned it up, but I was, oh my god, it was a lot. I don't want to go into too many details about it because it really was gross, but it was a lot. And young Cara was resounding in my brain of like, now you're the manager, now it's your turn.
It's the
clean up the
circle of life.
Yeah, genuinely. Oh my god.
Wow. Yeah, that I would find, like, it's funny, I'm fine with like dogs and like animals just like spewing their guts, pooping everywhere, but yeah, there's something when it's that next level up of humans. I'm a bit like,
I don't know why that is, but it does just feel, it feels kind of like you're invading someone else's privacy.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
They're long forgotten memories left over the floor,
scattered all over the site.
Yeah. Oh
yeah, there was honestly so many more downsides to being a manager than there was upsides. That I'm just like, you know what? I'm cool with that not being part of my projected career anymore.
That's
like
fine.
There was one moment that I distinctly remember that was like, I think every person who is in management waits for this moment to happen, and when it happened to me, I almost didn't do it, and then I was like, no, I'm doing it. I have to. It's my rite of passage as a manager. And it was because this guy had come in to the office. I was working behind the desk at that point, and he was like, blah blah blah, I don't want to do the tour anymore, I want refunded. And I was like, you can't, all the normal chat. And he was getting riled up, and then he said, can I speak to the manager? And I said, yup, let me go get them. And I went into my office, and I came right back out my office, and I was like, how can I help?
Yes, you should have put a wig on.
I know, I was so tempted to put like a fake mustache on my finger or something, because when he said, can I speak to the manager, he clearly thought the manager was going to be a man.
Yeah,
totally. It was one of those ones of like, I don't want to speak to this stupid little girl anymore, can I speak to the manager, is essentially what he was doing. And I was like, yes, let me go and get them. And it was just, because when I came back out, it was that look of like, he was so angry that I had done that, but also knew now he had no way of getting what he wanted. Yeah,
that's
like, he was clearly raging that I had gone into the room and come back out and been like, I'm manager, how can I help?
Did he just leave, or did he
Well, no, he argued a bit more. He argued the same way he was arguing when he didn't think I was manager. You know what I mean? Being like, this is ridiculous, I can't get a refund, blah blah blah. But eventually he did just give up, because like, what else now?
Yeah, that's it.
If you think that if I'm the one that you think is being horrible and cheeky, like, where do you go when I'm the one that's in charge? I remember one time I had a guy, he was trying to ask me about, this was obviously around about the time of Indie Ref.
Yeah.
Or was it? No, it wasn't Independence. It was what's the other one? What's the other big one?
Brexit.
Yeah, that's the one. Sorry, it was in the time of Brexit, and he asked me my opinion, and I said, well, I would prefer not to go into that at work, like, just because. Yeah. Oh my god, I have so many other things to talk about. But so I was like, I prefer not to go into that at work. And then he was like, oh, do they not let you? Are you not allowed to express your beliefs? And I was like, no. I would just super not like to. Like, it's not that I'm not allowed, it's just that it's like not appropriate. Like,
why?
I'm in a room full of drunk people. It's gonna go badly.
Exactly. Like, if you're in a group of people, like, why do you have to start talking? Like, let's just let it be a tour for what the tour is. Yes. You're not here in a debating club. Like, just enjoy the tour, and just don't. It just makes people uncomfortable. And there's always a place for debate and always a place for talking.
Yeah, like,
but not in the
not
middle
in a
of
public tour.
a freaking tour of just many people that just want to enjoy themselves. Like, you don't want to bring politics into this for now.
It's any over familiarity in it that I think definitely working with alcohol breeds over familiarity. That's a hard word. Over familiarity.
Oh, that's it. Nailed it.
Yeah, great. Because I remember there was one time with yourself when we both still worked together, and you came out and you were like, can someone else get the glasses from that booth? I can't handle it anymore.
Yeah.
Literally because there was a man just being so over familiar, like calling you sweetheart and darling and all this sort of stuff. And then he started asking for free stuff.
Yeah.
Remember? And so I was like, do you want me to go and get the glasses? And you were like, yeah, sure, like anyone. And I was like, cool, I'll go and get them. And then I went in and he was like, darling, is there any chance, blah, blah, blah. And I went, first of all, don't call me darling. Or I said, first of all, I'd prefer you didn't call me darling. And then, and him and his wife were like, oh, like rolling their eyes, like, all right, gee. And then he was like, okay, boss.
Oh,
and I was like,
God.
I was like, why do you think that it's me in here getting your glasses and not your tour guide? Like, why? Like, maybe take a sec to figure that out. Is it because you keep calling us pet names? Probably.
Yeah. Oh, it makes me. It's just like it's happened so many times where there's a way. It's a way of controlling, a way of power where these
it totally is.
Types of guys will just say, right, pet, darling, girl, all this stuff. And like, I remember me and another person we worked with, I think very close after each other, we'd be both being called a certain type of girl. I genuinely, and this wasn't like in a kind of dismissive, like they weren't being horrible to me, but they were being overly familiar with me. They started to say to another guy on the tour, they're like, oh, our tour guide, the little girl, and I was like, I'm blah, blah. And then I think
I'm a woman.
I'm a freaking woman. And then another person we worked with was called like clever girl, which makes me feel so that feeling.
I hate that. Like, I hate when I hate that. First of all, anyone ever being called clever girl ever is a raptor now.
Yeah.
And like,
like, I know. Like, I was gonna make a sketch about this. It turned into something else. But I was so desperate to make a sketch where someone was called clever girl, and then they just turned into a raptor.
Turned into a dinosaur.
Murdered.
But also, like, who are you to decide? Who are you to whittle me down to one attribute and the fact that I'm female? Like, whatever. Anyway, don't get me started on this topic for too long because I will stay on it forever. I have another bad family story.
Oh yeah. Go for it.
This one, this is actually Mary King's Close one. So I had a tour at Mary King's Close. The tour was maximum 20 people, and 3 different people who worked at Mary King's Close came to me to apologise in advance for this family.
Oh no.
Like, people were like, Cara, your next tour. And I'd be like, what? They'd be like, just the family is just, it's going to be bad. And I was like, oh my God. It was an English family of just like, I don't even know how to explain them. Imagine, when you, and no offence, to anyone, but when you picture in your mind English person.
Yeah.
Or when you or let me say English hooligan.
Oh, okay.
The image that you get in your mind is almost always going to be a white, middle-aged, beer belly man with an England like an England strip on, like England t-shirt on.
Yeah.
With a pint
and
shouting at you.
A bald head.
With a bald head shouting at you. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, when you think of negative England, that's the guy. His name is Johnny.
Yeah.
And he is the worst. That was this dad.
Oh no.
That was him. And like, his whole family was just like mini Johnnies.
Ew.
So it was just like it was like him, his wife, and then it was, or I don't even know if it was like extended family, but it looked like him, his wife, 2 daughters, 2 sons. That's what it looked like.
Yeah.
And every single one of them were like, pestering the staff that were up behind the sales desk, just like picking up everything in the shop, being like, how much is this? How much is this? What's this? No. Whoa! Like, and just being loud. He was being like, his voice was like booming through.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay. And obviously it was them, but plus like just normal people as well on the tour. So I started the tour, and every one thing that I had to say, he had about 5 things to say about it, and he said them all.
Oh,
it just
hate those people.
It was like, I'd literally be like, hello, welcome to Mary King's Close, my name is blah blah blah, and he'd be like, whoa, what kind of name is that? Ha 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 ha. What's that dress you're wearing? Ha 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 ha. Where are we? What's that smell? And I'd be like, oh my god. Like, there was a story I remember from Mary King's Close. Now, this isn't one that anyone is like given to me to speak about, so I'm not going to say the guide's name or whatever, but it is a good story, I'm going to tell it. Okay. Basically, it was just that this guide had a group of people on the tour, plus a family again, and the dad of the family kept going, hurry up, hurry up, hurry up, in every room. And the guide was like obviously trying to get through, you know, the time that we're meant to get through it, and the dad was like tapping his watch going, hurry up, hurry up. So the guide started to rush a little bit because he was like, I don't know what to do here, like this is the first time this has ever happened. And then so he burns through the tour that's meant to be an hour, and he burns through it in like 45 minutes. Like, he's like up the arse of the tour guide in front of him.
Yeah, yeah.
So he gets to the top and he's like, okay, bye everyone, like letting them out, because he's like, maybe this person has a train to catch, maybe this person, like, I don't know. And then they got to the top, and the dad went to the reception desk and was like, the tour wasn't as long as you said it would be, I want a refund.
What? What
yes.
a dick!
I know!
Oh, that's quite... What a prepared... Like, I'm sorry. You wake up in the morning and you're like, I want a free tour. This is my plan. I planned it for a week. I know exactly what I'm going to do.
I've got the schematics ready. The blueprint is out.
Yeah. How sad. Oh, wow.
I know.
That's funny.
But, like, I honestly think that must happen. Like, I think there are just people who are like... It's like people who go to eat food, and they just know that if they kick up enough of a stink, they'll get the food for free, so they do it every time.
Yeah.
Like, he seemed like that type of person, and I was just like, wow, that's a lot. I've actually just remembered another Mary King's Close story.
Okay.
But this one's not very nice. This one you'll have heard this one for sure. I tell it all the time.
Okay.
It was during the Fringe. And it was so Mary King's Close had the tours during the day, and then during the Fringe, which was an Edinburgh festival for like playwrights and musicians and all sorts, comedians, and so we had this like after hours show of like the darker side of Edinburgh's history, and in one of the rooms, one of the people, so me at that point, had to pretend to be a witch. And we had a hessian sack over our head and our hands tied, and we're behind a red roped off area, and you would just walk up and down, and the other person in the room was like, one of the tortures is that they would have to walk up and down the room, and they weren't allowed to stop to pee or eat or anything until they confessed. That was the whole bit. And so I was in there walking up and down the room, and the guy who was explaining what this torture was like really hamming it up. And there was a bit where I did stop, or I slowed down, and he would call someone from the audience forward to say, like, tell her to go faster.
Oh, yeah.
So then the person would be like, go faster, please. And then they'd be like, no, man, louder, louder. And it always ended up that the person would always never really put enough effort into telling you to go faster. So then he'd step in and be like, I'll show you how it's done, and, you know, all that sort of stuff. However, this specific person who is being this character this night, again, I don't want to name anybody, I'm going to call him... Elvis. So Elvis, I can't think of another name in time. So Elvis, I don't know why he did this, but this is not the only night he did it. He would always pick the biggest guy in the room.
No.
Always. I think it was just like he just wanted to feel like a big man, so he'd pick the biggest guy and kind of try and make a fool of him a little bit. So this night he picked this big, muscly, beardy, tattooed guy. Now he also, of course, could have still been a complete sweetheart. You never know. Can't judge a book by its cover. But so he steps forward, and Elvis says for him, tell her to go faster. And he's like, go faster, you know, whatever. And he's like, no, man, louder, really get into it. So what he did was he stepped over the barrier that was separating me and him up from each other. He pushed my shoulder, and then he went to kick me in the butt, but missed and got my thigh.
Oh, so
and I was like, what has happened? And now at this point, much like you when you were telling the story about like seeing people smooching, I was quite young. I was maybe 19 or 20 maximum at this point. And I stopped in the middle of the room, and I turned to look at him, but I had a sack on my head. So he couldn't see. So if I'd fallen over, I wouldn't have been able to stop myself because my hands were tied.
Oh shit.
So what do I do? And the other two guys in the room who were part of it, they had stopped as well, and they were looking at me like, what do we do? and I stopped for a bit and looked at this guy, and then I just kept going, and we just did the rest of the show. And in hindsight, I hate the decision I made. You know what I mean? Like, in hindsight, I'm like, I wish I had kicked up the biggest stink.
I know.
And like after it, the manager of the night came to me and was like, "We have his picture. He's never allowed back in here again." Like blah 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 blah. And I was like, "Yeah, okay." The worst thing is though, he was with his partner, his female partner.
Oh shit! Yeah.
Like what the hell?
That's bizarre. It's like such a turn. Like it's
strange.
that thing when it's that kind of horrible human experiment when someone thinks they have a little way in of like, you know, like going that extra step. They take it, and it's like. That why do you think that's fun? I don't know.
Exactly. Like he clearly thought it would be funny and didn't think he was going to get the reaction he got, and unfortunately looking back he didn't get as bad a reaction as I would have liked to have given him. But like you can only do what you can do in the moment, you know.
I know.
And
I hear
it just is what it is, but that's the only time it's ever happened, and I'm reeling from it still. Like I still can't believe it. Whenever I think about it, I just get that thing in my stomach again of like, just so angry.
I love it. It does sort of sum us up with the characters we were given in these kind of things. Like you were given like the, you know, badass witch that was like, I was always given the I'm crazy. Where's my husband?
Where's he gone?
Oh, I'm forlorn. So stupid. Oh man, that was quite a place to work, and especially like I'm not even going into the whole time the amount of times people fainted on these tours.
Oh yeah, constantly people fainted every other in the summer every day at least on one person's tour there would be someone would faint, and they would always faint in the same room because it was the hottest room of the tour. But it was also the room where we talk about plague, so like they'd be like they'd feel really hot, they'd feel really, you know, and then also we're like boils bursting, oozing, and just being horrible. But then the amount of times as well that someone would faint in plague and you could tell that everyone else was like, is this scripted? Like,
I know, this is fun. I had people like falling over once as well, and honestly they like really hit their head hard on that
they
floor.
do. Oh, one time, this is again, I'm just like going off on another one. One time when I was working at the stargazing, I had a flat earther come and talk to me. Yeah. How strange is that?
Wow. What was his thoughts though? Like, about?
He was actually really nice. I was expecting. I thought if I ever met one, they would come on the tour like to debunk the whole tour, like to be like lies. But like we got through the whole tour, he hadn't said anything. We were in the hot pools, and like the guide sits by the hot pools if people want to chat or ask questions. And someone was talking to me about. I used to get some really dumb, really dumb questions on that tour. And someone was talking to me about the sun rising, and they were asking me why does the sun rise at different times in different places. Now this wasn't the flat earther that was asking me this question. Just an average human being, and I was explaining why that happens, and then this other guy who just kind of floated close to listen to the chat, he just sort of said, "Well, if you believe in a spherical Earth," and I was like, "Oh my god, it's happening! Oh my god!" So I was like, "Oh yeah, I suppose." I was like, I don't think. I was like, yeah, I believe, you know, there are people out there who don't believe in a spherical Earth. I was like, "Are you one of them, sir?" Joking at first, just like ha ha ha, and he was like, "Yes, well, I have my reservations," and I was like, "Oh my god."
That's so interesting. So, did he tell you what he thought?
Yeah,
what it was?
I think I was more interested in him than he was in me by the end of that tour, because I was like, I just need to know what you think. Yeah. So the Earth is flat. The sun rises at different times across the Earth because it's a like man-made projection. So like the Earth,
okay. I didn't even think of this being like a Truman Show-esque. What?
Yeah, I believe what he was trying to tell me was the Earth is flat, but it has like a dome, and that's what we call the ozone.
Okay. Yeah.
But it's a man-made dome on top. And because of that, we can project the sun, and that's why it rises at different places.
Wow.
The moon is a base we have made. A moon's a physical object, but it's man-made, and there are people inside it.
Okay. This is genuinely like the plot of the Truman Show.
Yeah, I know. I was like, I was like, are you sure that you've not just seen something you thought was a documentary and it turns out it was actually just the Truman Show?
Had a lot of impact on you, clearly, as a younger man.
I've also, he never told me this, but I did go home and research Flat Earth a little bit more.
Yeah.
And I also found out that some Flat Earthers believe that Australia doesn't exist.
Interesting.
So if you fly to Australia, the flight actually just takes you somewhere else and it's just filled with actors.
Why would you do this?
I don't know. You know what? We need to stop. I've just realised that we're bordering on conspiracy theories.
Oh, yeah, this is true. No, yeah, let's save that. Oh my god, that's amazing. I can't wait to hear more.
Yeah, incredible. I did so much research into it after I met him. He also told me one last thing that I'll tell you, which is one of my favourite facts ever. Because obviously they're called Flat Earthers. Flat Earthers call people who believe in spherical Earths globe heads. Which I thought was incredible. I have that tattooed on me now, Globehead.
Globehead.
Yeah, I just thought it was amazing.
We're going to lose all our followers now. They're going to be like, fuck you.
Yeah, how dare you Globeheads talk to us about spherical Earth.
Damn.
Brainwashing us.
I have 2 really quick stories to tell you.
Yes, tell me your stories and then we can
hear from others.
Yeah, we can get onto our sharing platter.
So I have, not so bad now, but definitely as a child and maybe into my mid to late 20s, I travel so bad. Like, I have terrible car sickness and like bus sickness and other mainly just road sickness in general. And I one time was when I was a child, like maybe 11 or something, maybe 12. I went on a family holiday to Spain, and we decided to take a day trip to this like place way high up in the mountains, and we decided to go by bus, like a kind of tourist kind of group bus thing. So we set off really early in the morning, and I was okay, but the bus was steadily rising higher and higher. I think we were going to like Andorra, which is like this like crazy place between Spain and France, and it's really high up. And this bus was like sort of winding and winding and winding, going higher and higher and higher. And I, during that journey, threw up 5 times.
Oh no.
And had a really bad nosebleed 3 times.
Oh no.
Because I couldn't deal with the altitude. So I was puking, I was bleeding, I was honestly a mess. And we haven't even got there yet. And by the 5th time I threw up, oh my god, a bus full of people. They had to deal with this as well. The bus driver pulled into a lane. And he was really calm, but in hindsight, this was utterly terrifying. He pulled into a lane and he was like, come with me. And I was like, what? And he was like, come with me. And I went out of the bus and with the bus driver, and people were just staring out the window.
Yeah.
And he opened up a little case and it had a needle in it.
What the fuck?
And essentially, he had a sedative in a needle, and I didn't really realize this at the time. I thought it was just like a travel sickness injection or something.
Yeah.
But he was like, "This will help you not be sick anymore." And honestly, he was getting. I was so young. I was like, I don't know. I don't really like needles. And luckily, my stepdad came running out, and he was like, "No!" And he was like, "No needles." So like, I was gonna be sedated by this random bus driver.
What the fuck?
Can you imagine? And I would have just spent the like whole day just on the bus, like past. I don't know what would have happened.
Why did he have that?
I know. And so like that, for some reason, I just remembered that. And I get it. He had a bus full of people, and they were all like dealing with me being horribly sick and having nosebleeds, and they were obviously trying to.
Yeah,
be
but
like,
you can't just be like, now I will inject you. What the fuck?
So that was one quite intense story about throwing up. And then I remembered another one, which is in a similar vein, but this time it's even more ridiculous. So it was like my first or second year at uni, and we had just had a really heavy night the night before. And then we decided we were going to take the bus to Edinburgh for the day and have like a kind of day out. So we got on this bus really early, and I was like, guys, I feel really rough. And like, I'm one that I know with my travel sickness, I need to sit near a front of a bus, because if I sit in the back of a bus, it's, even to this day, it's not a good thing.
It's like real rumbly, and
it's like, and it swings more.
It's hot back there.
It's
yeah,
hot.
I get it.
It's
I
by
get
the
it.
toilet sometimes. Oh, it's gross. So my friends were like, no, we'll at the back, we'll be cool people. So I went to the back with them, and we were fine up until about, I don't know, it was probably like Kirkcaldy or Inverkeithing or somewhere. And I was like, guys, I can't hold it in. Oh my god, this is it. This is me.
No.
I projectile vomit.
No! Oh my god.
All over the back seat of this bus.
Oh my god.
Everywhere. It was a bus full of people going to like town on a Saturday. And my friend went to the bus driver and he was like, my friend's just thrown up all over your bus. And oh my god, they had to pull in. They pulled into a bus depot and everyone was just glaring. They're like, what the fuck have you done? And they pulled into this bus depot, and then this poor like lady with a bucket comes on and she's like, where's the sick?
Oh no!
And she comes towards and I'm just like embarrassed, and she's just like wiping up the puke, and I was like, Jesus Christ. So, and I also threw up again before the journey was over, but luckily we it kind of coincided with a little pit stop. So I came right. This is so gross. Why am I telling you guys? I threw up again, but I managed to contain it in my mouth.
Annabelle!
And I had my hands over my mouth, and I ran out of this like bus, and I was like, my friend came with me, and we were at this sort of toilets, and they were pay toilets, and my friend was like, my friend is sick, like she's got sick in her bath, she cannot pay, because I was just like speak. So I managed to save the second one. Oh my goodness.
That is insane. That is horrible.
I know. And so buses and me have never been friends. And the poor people that have had to deal with me being very badly travel sick. I don't try and get buses so often now.
Yeah, I used to get, when I was a kid, I used to get pretty bad travel sickness. But not to that well, there was one time, but this was a hangover, it was my own fault. There was one time that I was on the bus and I had to trick myself into staying on. Like, I kept telling myself, I'd be like, we will get off at the next stop, we will get off at the next stop, it's okay, just hold it till the next stop. And the next stop would happen and I wouldn't get off, and then I'd be like, you said we'd get off, and I'd be like, I know, but we'll get off at the next one. Like, but by the time, because I was breathing so heavily, like I was trying to sort of deep breathe to like, I was taking in too much oxygen, so by the time I got off the bus, all my fingers and toes had cramped up.
Oh no.
Yeah. Anyway, this is like totally.
Jeez. Yeah, but like I just for some reason remember people trying to help on buses.
Yeah.
In different ways. So yeah.
So that was the times of you being a bad customer and people.
That was
having to
me
deal
being
with you.
that was me being a horrible customer and having poor people of the public have to deal with my sick. Anyway, so
shall we get on to our sharing platter?
Do it. That sounds great.
I think this week is slightly different. I think this week I'm gonna be sharing some stories from the Instagram.
That's right.
But yeah, let me see. What ones have I got? Hannah told me about a story from when she worked in Starbucks.
Oh no.
And she said that a couple, I know, I thought they'd be way worse. Like, this is the first one that sort of jumped to her mind, but she said that a couple came into Starbucks one time with a pram, and they were in the queue, and they just picked up a whole espresso machine, put it in the pram, and left.
Oh no. That's so good.
Apparently they like Starbucks would sell these espresso machines. So it wasn't like they picked one up in use from the bar.
Right.
But it was like espresso machines that you could like buy to like make them at home yourself, and they just like picked one up and put them in.
I was picturing them just like unplugging this espresso machine.
I know, that's when she first told me that, I was like, oh my god. It did remind me as well of when I used to work at Cotswold Outdoor, one of my first jobs ever. it was like a mystery stealing man.
Oh.
Or woman, who knows?
Yeah.
But basically, like, every now and again, we would just find, like, the back ends of tags, clothes tags, in the pockets of a specific size of pair of trousers.
Interesting.
So we started looking for people of that size.
Yeah.
Taking things into the changing room, because, like, we were like, oh, they're trying these trousers on and then putting the tags in them. But then we were like, what if they're, like, conning us and they're actually, like, a slim woman or, like...
Yeah.
or something, and it turns out, like, to throw us off the trail.
Yeah, oh, yeah, the proper pre-thinking. I had that once where I didn't work in the shop, but I remember walking into, like, a clothes shop once, and someone had swapped over a pair of shoes with their old stinky pair of shoes and just hung their old stinky pair of shoes back up. It was so gross. And
that's
I remember
horrible.
just looking at them and I was like, ooh, no.
That's weirdly, the worst.
Like, also very smart. But it was gross, so gross. Anyway.
I have my friend Paige. My friend Paige actually has 2 stories. One of them is a customer service story, so I'll tell that one first. And one of them isn't a customer service story, but it did happen at their work, and it is insane. Okay. I will have definitely told you this story before, but the customer service story first is that she was telling me that this guy wanted a particular large bottle of whiskey, and they didn't have it in stock, and also it was 9 a.m, so she was like, I can't get this bottle to you. And so he kicked up a huge stink, and then he said to her, you're a stupid little girl with a stupid little uniform and a stupid little ponytail.
Oh my god, savage.
I know. And then when she, like, walked off, he was like, he told her to not be so bloody pathetic and listen to what he has to say.
Oh my god.
I know.
I hate it.
She says he was removed from the store.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
That quickly reminds me of someone. When I first worked one of my first jobs was actually at the body shop, and I remember a lady coming up to the till, and I put something through slightly wrong. Like, I think it was a sale item, and it had like maybe 1p off it, and I put it through full sale, and she came up and she was like, it's not the right price. I want refunded 1 pence, please. And I was like, what? And she was like, I want refunded 1 pence. And I honestly lost my shit, because I just started working there. I didn't even know how to do refunds, and I was on my own, and I just sort of, like, I remember the anger, the rage just boiling up at me. And I started to, like, I had the angry face, and she was like, don't stamp your feet at me, Missy. And I was like, I'm so angry. I think I just, like, left. I was just like,
yeah, you should have. I literally at that point would have looked in my pocket for a 1 pence and been like, here you are.
Oh my god, she was the worst. Anyway, what else? What's Paige's other story?
Oh my god. Okay. So the other story that she had for me, people listening may have heard this story before. It was big news when it first happened. It was, like, in newspapers, and it's been on podcasts, it's been on all sorts of things. Basically, the short version of it is, there was a girl in England who had started to be stalked by this guy in England. And it stuck to the point that she was like, okay, I'm going to move to Scotland. Scotland's got much more harsh anti-stalking laws than England does. And he decided to, like, come down here, live in a tent, and write a book about her.
Oh, wow.
And the book is called The World Rose.
How romantic.
I know. And he decided to write this book, and he'd put it on Wattpad, this, like, book sharing sort of place. He put it on Wattpad for people to, like, criticise, and he was apparently on the site notorious for being angry when he got negative criticism. So, like, anytime anyone was like, well, this is badly written, or, like, here's what you could do to fix it, he would be, like, the absolute worst back at them, being like, clearly you've never heard of a thesaurus, like, you know, just the worst. And so this sort of this came to a head when he confronted her, the girl he was stalking, outside her work, and she was like, absolutely not, like, the police already knew about all this sort of stuff, and so did, like, everybody around her. She made sure that he knew that he was not safe to keep doing that. So he sort of fled back to England. However, when he got back to England, he went back on Wattpad, and he saw that he had this really insanely negative review from this, like, quite prolific reviewer, like from someone who reviewed quite a lot of books. And she was basically just like, this is genuinely terrible. Like, here's everything about it that's bad. And she even said in the review, like, Lord help me, like, knowing him and knowing his, like, reputation here, Lord help me for leaving this negative review, but it's terrible and it's the worst, essentially. And from what I've heard of the book, it is terrible and the worst. So, you know. Anyway, he tried to get this girl to take the review down. She wouldn't. He then found her on her Facebook and all that sort of stuff. He found out where she worked, and actually this girl, who is Paige, worked with or knew the girl he was stalking. So when he found out where she worked, which was at an Asda back up in Scotland, he came back up to Scotland, went to the Asda, picked up a bottle of wine off the shelves, found her, and smashed her over the head with the bottle.
Oh my god.
I know.
Oh
How
my
insane
god.
is that? I know.
Jeez.
I know. Ridiculous.
I'm just like,
ridiculous.
what?
I know, it's so much. Like, see, when I found this story out, I did not know that this, I had listened to a podcast that had this in it, maybe like 3 days before. And then I met my friend and we were out, at Wings in Edinburgh having some chicken nuggets, and we were chatting, and we got to chatting about like Wattpad and about book reviews and things like that. I don't know, it was probably just in my head from having heard that. And I said, oh, have you ever heard about the world? I was like, have you ever heard about the World Rose? And she was like, yeah, I've heard about it. I got bottled because of it. And I was like, oh my god! Like, I was like, that was you! Oh my god, that's incredible! What the? Oh my god! I lost my mind. It was crazy.
Yeah. So, was she okay?
Yeah. So, she went to hospital. He like ran off again, but eventually he was caught and charged. He spent time in prison. He's now, we believe, he's still incarcerated somewhere. But we're not allowed to know exactly where, I think, is the case. But yeah, absolute insanity. Absolute insanity.
It sort of really makes you think about, I mean, I guess it's slightly off topic with customer service, but like what you're putting out there, and like the fact that someone goes to that level. I mean, most people just don't, but like to go to that level where you're at the point where you're holding a bottle and you want to smash someone over the head.
I mean,
like,
he was clearly, there's clearly other stuff going on in his mind, because like if he had it in him to stalk, then he had it in him to, you know, he clearly was a terrible person from the get-go. And I'm honestly exceptionally proud she still reviews books and all that sort of stuff, which is incredible, because like, you know, so many people would have been so terrified to do that kind of stuff after it. But yeah, how insane is that? When you don't even get a chance to give customer service because the customer has just decided to be the worst person in the world. Oh my god.
Oh wow.
There's another one I was sent. I've only just gotten the last of the details, because I got sent it as if I had known this story already. Then I was like, wait, hold on, I don't know this story. And it was another one from Tekapo Springs, and it was my friend Adam was basically said to me, oh, do you remember that time where Courtney, who was one of the lifeguards, was like getting screamed at because she stopped a child from drowning? And I was like, I do not remember this at all. Like, please explain. What? He said this kid kept jumping up on the rocks around the pool, and they let him. The parents were letting him go off and swim on his own, but the kid was only about 3. So Courtney went to tell them to like watch their kid, and it escalated really quickly. The mum tried to hit Courtney until 2 of the other lifeguards came and like stopped her. Then when Courtney was walking home, so Adam walked Courtney to her car, and Courtney wasn't in her uniform anymore because she was scared, and she said that in the car park the lady screamed out, "I won't forget your face."
Oh my god.
I know.
That's what?
This is the thing. This is the thing about, like, you know, I debated a few of the stories there that I brought up. I debated bringing up because I was like, you know, they're quite heavy. But like, this is the thing. Like, customer service stories can go from like funny, like people being idiots or people being annoying or whatever, to like people really being harmful. You know, like, I think it's important for anyone listening who has ever or who will ever again be a customer. Just remember
if
that,
you're
like,
ever a customer.
Yeah, if you've ever been a customer, just remember that, like, the people that you're dealing with have probably dealt with horrible things that day, or like could have done. Like, don't feed into that. Don't be a bad customer. Be a good customer.
Yeah, don't treat the people that are kind of serving you in that part, you know, as your punching bag if you've had a bad day. Like,
because you don't know if a woman has gotten mad at them and tried to hit them 5 minutes before you. You know what I mean?
Wow.
Oh my god. But yeah. I was like, apparently I was still around Tekapo when that happened, but I do not remember that at all.
Lord. I
know.
Shall I quickly read you my little sharing
Yes,
thing?
so since I got to tell all the stories, you get to tell some TripAdvisor reviews.
I thought, because I didn't have anyone really come to me, and I didn't really have much else to sort of talk about in my customer service, because I have repressed it all down.
Yeah, I didn't realise how much I had repressed it until we tried to do this episode. I was like, oh my god.
So I thought I will look up some amazing 1-star TripAdvisor reviews.
Yes.
And I thought I would pick the top 5 in the list of things to do in Edinburgh on TripAdvisor. And I'm going to read them out. Have you ever read these lists? Because you probably guess roughly what these are, but I kind of want you to guess what the places I'm talking about.
I will love to play this game. I've never specifically read that part of it, but like, I have gone into one of the fun things to do whenever you want to look up anything on TripAdvisor is to go to the 1-star reviews.
Oh, they're the best.
So are you going to read me the review first and then I'll guess what place it's for?
I will read you the review.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yes, I'm excited.
I'm so excited for this.
Okay.
Title says, misleading. Okay. Not a chair in sight. Had to sit in the grass and was left with an unsightly wet patch, so it looked like I had soiled myself.
Is that the whole review?
Well, that is the whole review.
Oh my god, I think I know this one.
Yeah.
Is it our famous hill, Arthur's Seat?
Yes. Do you know, there's so many. Like, I will read you only one of each one, but honestly, I think there was about 5 all about I couldn't find the seat. There was no seat. I couldn't find
Arthur's seat.
Misleading. So misleading.
Misleading, no seat. I've also seen, for Arthur's Seat, I've also seen people say things like no cafe, no Wi-Fi. What the hell?
This one, I won't read you all of it. I'll just read you the first point, because it's like, I think you can get it. 1 star, tourist trap. It's just some rich old broad's boat.
That would be the Royal Yacht Britannia.
Yeah. It's so
just
good.
Some rich old broad's boat there. I mean, not wrong.
I mean, it is. I've never been there. It doesn't appeal to me too much.
Never been. I've seen it from the outside. It's just a boat, but you know.
It's just a boat. This one, right, 1 star. Apparently, this place doesn't have change for a £50 note. Was queuing up with my son. You'll get this one straight away. Was queuing up with my son to drive the race car, then realised I need to insert a £1 coin to play, and my son really wanted to go, and we have been waiting for 10 minutes. So I go to the nearest small cafe in shop. Both said they don't have change. Then I go to the main shop at the entrance, no change either. Then ran to the main cafe. The staff just said I couldn't do it. I asked if you have change or not for the £50 note. He said yes, but I can't change it for you, that I have to buy something. And the queue is just too long to wait, and I can't leave my 6-year-old alone for too long. I end up have to ask my husband to run back from Royal Mile to the museum to give us to give us a coin to play that racing game. I mean, that money goes to the museum too. I don't understand why the staff at the cafe are so unhelpful. It's just this poor kid trying to get on the racing machine, and this like woman's just running around half of Edinburgh for change.
Oh no.
Oh.
At that point though, I mean, I don't know, I'm not a parent, so like at that point, I would have been like, come son, let's go away and come back to it. Instead of like, just being like, okay, you wait here, please don't move. I'm going to really quickly just see if I can run to the cafe. Oh my God.
I mean, I have to do this on as well from the same place. This is the museum, by the way, the main National Museum.
National Museum of Scotland.
Edinburgh. This one's great. Why can't I give it 0 stars? You couldn't find a worse place in the world to go. There is no point in going here unless you are hungry to go to the cafe, but the actual museum is pointless. They stuffed animals to put him inside, which I felt really sad. There is a thing where a hot air balloon goes up. It is rubbish, and everything was fake.
What the
Oh no.
Wow, someone hates museum. What? This is the... With that one, I'm like, what did you think a museum was going to be?
I know.
Like, what did you think was going to be in there?
Yeah, hot air balloons, not what you want in a museum, clearly.
Don't hate hot air balloons, hate stuffed animals.
This is a general one. It's not really about anywhere, but it's just a general Edinburgh one. 1 star. Okay. Edinburgh busker. This busker in the photo told my wife to fuck off and turned his back on her. And that's pretty much it.
That's incredible. Told my wife to fuck off. What the fuck?
This one, I agree with. This is a good one.
Controversial.
And I don't know. This is going to be hard to guess where it is, but I think it's awesome.
I'm ready.
1 star. Where are the women? It really puzzles me that in the year 2018 you can go to a place like this and there's nothing about women and women's culture. Extremely disappointing.
Oh, that's a good one. Yeah. Important.
Very apt.
Let me think. What would that be? That must be one of the, like, historical ones, right? In town?
Yes. I can tell you another review from it and you might get it.
I wish to hear.
Very disappointed. Big disappointment. Firstly, you literally have to climb a mountain to get to the top of it. Then when you finally do reach the top, good luck getting anywhere near it. This person's lovely, supremely racist, by the way. The place is swarming with Chinese people everywhere you look. I expected it to be magical and fairy tale-like. Looks like any other of them. I would also recommend they move it to the bottom of the hill.
Okay, is that Kelton Hill?
Nah.
Oh, what is it then? I don't know.
It's Edinburgh Castle.
Oh no! They want to move. Okay, first of all, fuck you for your racist comments.
Right?
Absolutely,
fuck
get
you.
out of here. Second of all, move it.
What the hell? Are you high? No, I just think this is my last one of the same place. It's a very common theme here. 1 star. Hills. I mean, guys, seriously, why does no one advertise this castle is actually on a hill? I'm relatively fit, having ran a 5k in 2012, but even I had to stop 4 times on the way up. Given that the castle is located so far up a hill, you think they could convert the Grand Hall into a diner or restaurant. If you are quite jumpy, please, in all caps, do not go around lunchtime as they light loud fireworks around this time.
What? Fireworks? Are they talking about the cannon?
Yes! They're talking about, anyone that doesn't know, there's every day at 1 o'clock they fire the 1 o'clock gun from a cannon at the top of the castle, so everyone knows what the time is. So I think they completely missed the point of it.
Fireworks. Also, are these people climbing up the actual, are these people free climbing up the back of the castle, the rocky rock face? It sounds like, because for people who haven't been to Edinburgh, the castle is one end of a place called the Royal Mile. It's called the Royal Mile because there's a castle at one end of the mile, then there is a long road, a mile long, it's actually a mile and an eighth, but that doesn't sound as good, and at the end of this Royal Mile is another castle, a palace. So on either side of a mile is a palace. But the mile itself, though it is a hill, is like a path. Like you can walk up it. You don't have to climb anything.
It's like it's just a street with a hill.
It's a street that's on a hill. And like, yes, it is. At some points it can be quite steep. But like, the way that this person's talking about it makes it sound like he got out his like carabiner and his rock climbing shoes and walked up the back of the castle, and the back of the castle is a sheer rock face.
I love that he had to mention that he runs 5Ks. He was like, even I had challenges with it.
Even I, the world's best runner.
Yeah, so I love a good 1 star TripAdvisor. There's
One
so
star,
many. We could do a
one
whole.
star reviews,
I think we should do a
incredible.
whole topic on 1 star
We
reviews.
really should.
That's me.
Yeah,
I've
that's
relived and spilled everything.
yeah. Shall we
Literally spilled things onto the back of a bus.
Yeah, oh god. It wasn't even a spill, it was like
It was
a hose.
projectile. uh,
Oh my goodness.
do you have any serving
Serving
suggestions
suggestion.
for
Yeah,
this
we
week?
completely missed it last week because we were just so enveloped in our teen
We
selves.
were.
We never managed to get to them last week. What have I done this week? Honestly, this week I've been like, and I mentioned it very briefly the other week because I mentioned it when I talked about doing finding like co-op games, like couch co-op games.
Mm-hmm.
But I am obsessed with the Tetris World Championships.
Whoa.
They are so good to watch. It's literally like it's just videos of people playing Tetris, obviously, but playing Tetris to a level that is like when the game was first made. Obviously, it gets faster and faster and faster as you go up the levels. But there's a thing they call the kill screen because there's a level that the inventor of Tetris didn't think it was humanly possible to play past because it's so fast. And these people can like play up to and sometimes past the kill screen.
Nice.
And they also like the person who created it didn't think you'd be able to get above 1 million points, so they call it a max out. And like in normal Tetris, if you get to like 99999, however many nines it is, it just stops counting your score because it's like we can't go any further than that. So they've had to like make their own software to count past that score for people.
Wow.
So there's the Tetris monthlies, which is what I keep watching, where people just like, it's the same people over and over and over again, just come in and like, you know, fight to be the best Tetris player of the month. But then once a year there's the yearly Tetris World Championships, and it's like, it's gotten big enough that people from around the world will go to it to like compete, and to even get into the like roster of people competing, you need to submit a high enough score to get into the top roster. And because it's become quite popular, the last year, I think the year before that, should I say, there was one max out, so the one over 1 million, and everyone else was roughly like 500,000, 700,000. So if you got 500,000, you were guaranteed to get a place. This year there were 7 max outs.
Oh my god!
So like
the
the
human
top
race
7.
is evolving.
Yes, we're evolving at rapid speed. But like, honestly, if you enjoy just like, first of all, Tetris is just like so enjoyable to watch at a competitive level because it's just so clean.
Do they keep the music on, or do they mute?
Yeah, unfortunately they do keep the music on. Unfortunately. No. But you know, you get into it, you're like, yeah, like you get into it. But yeah, just the way that they play it, and also so I never knew this before I started watching it, but there is a thing called a Tetris. There's a move called a Tetris.
Oh.
And it's when you've built up 4 lines worth of stuff, so that when the long bar comes, all 4 lines go at the same time, and you get like a specific, it's like woo woo woo, specific noise that tells you like that's a Tetris, and that's like it's worth like 3 times the points of all the other stuff. So they're all fighting to get Tetrises. So when you see the boards that they use, like when you see the builds that they have, it's like so clean and everything just goes in like the best place that it could possibly go. And then here comes a bar, and then everyone's like, boom, Tetris for blah blah blah. Yeah, like it's so good. It's in this time where like sport is not a thing that can really happen right now. Team sports, you know, people can't get together and do it. So people who are missing watching competitive stuff. And I'm not much of I don't really care for it, but if you're missing watching competitions, go on and just look up like Tetris World Championships or Tetris Monthly Championships, and like you will not be disappointed.
Whoa, I love it. No, that sounds like actually really good fun. As I say, I think before, I love a good game of Tetris, so
yeah, I did download and start playing it. I'm nowhere near as good as these guys are, or these people are, should I say?
The only way is up.
Yes,
baby.
Sucking at something is just the first step towards being great at something.
Exactly. You got to start from that level. It's the only way. It's the only way. So I'm so good at... What am I good at? Oh.
I'm so good at stuff.
My serving suggestion is what I was going to actually say last week and then I forgot. Very simply, do not underestimate the power of naps, because the amount of times that I've riled myself up into mental exhaustion and wondered why I'm crying all the time.
Oh,
All I needed to do was just go for a nap. And
just
then
go
I
for a
wake
little
up
nap.
and I'm just like, fuck, everything's beautiful. Oh my
I see.
God.
I need to get better at naps. I
Right.
think,
I'm
like
terrible. Like, I
for
really,
me,
yeah.
but like for me, naps don't help. Like
Mm.
I'm knackered. I can't keep my eyes open. I'm like, I'm gonna go for a little snooze, and then I wake up and I'm like, I'm still so tired. I'm even more tired. Like I need to figure out the sweet spot. Like a lot of people say, like
Yeah.
nap for certain amounts of time. So like one of the issues I have for napping is that I can't stop. I then end up sleeping for like 4 or 5 hours. I just sleep for the
Right.
rest of the day. Or if I try and do like 20 minutes or whatever, sometimes I snooze it or sometimes I get up and it wasn't enough. Like I need to find my napping sweet spot.
Yeah. You should track when, like, your rough time it takes you to fall asleep and maybe
Mm,
calculate it around that. Um,
maybe.
I don't know.
Do you have your sweet spot nap time yet or
I do. So I'm the same. Like, if I was gonna sleep more than an hour, I would feel much worse.
right?
But I, I usually, yeah, I think usually it's about an hour long. Sometimes it's just half an hour, 45 minutes, but it's definitely that under hour mark. And then I wake up and I'm
Okay.
like, I'm a bit groggy at first, and then after like half an hour, I'm like, oh, I feel
I
happy.
feel better, yeah.
Oh,
Oh, maybe I'll because there have been some days very recently where I've just been battling needing to
mm,
sleep. Like the other day, I gave up and I went and had a nap, but I was like, I really did try and like I was like right 20 minutes, just a little bit of a nap, and then I got up and I was like the same as you. I was still really groggy and I was like it didn't help, but I'm pretty sure that I did perk up not too long after that. So like
yeah.
maybe I do just need to like battle past the initial grog, you
Yeah, I
know?
think so. I've definitely, even just mentally, I've always felt better after a nap. And
Uh,
I'm terrible because I'm definitely someone that will try. I I'm not good at telling myself to stop and take a nap. I basically like my boyfriend Christian a lot of the times like you just need a nap, and I'm like no I
yeah.
don't. I'm fine. And then
Oh no.
eventually I go and take his advice, and I've always felt better. I'm so
Have you
bad at
seen
it. Yeah.
Have you seen that video of the little girl and she's like crying on the beach and she's like, I just need to sleep. I'm just gonna sleep
Yes.
here. And then she just lies down in the sand and she's like, good night, good night.
Oh, I feel it. It's so good.
Yeah, that's you.
That's me. I do. I mean, a lot of times I just think, oh, I am just a giant toddler, and I do
I
just
mean,
need my
aren't we
naps.
all?
Yeah, honestly, I love that. Be kind to yourself, basically.
Yeah, be
Have a
kind,
nap.
have naps, take
Yeah.
rest. Even if a nap is not feasible, take a rest. Go and sit for 5 minutes by yourself or whatever, you know.
Yeah. So true. Oh man. Wow.
Sweet. Well,
Sweet.
that's sweet.
So should we? Are we gonna do another poll, or do you think we'll pick a topic from our? Because we had
So
some unpopular choices.
yeah,
So
we had two that were tied. We had conspiracy theories and travel stories. Those were tied.
yeah.
Um, but I got more personal messages about conspiracy theories. We'll do conspiracy theories next week, I think, because that was definitely when I put out that it was gonna be this one. I definitely had some people been like, "Oh," so
Yeah. Yeah.
conspiracy
No,
theories
it's
next
good.
week, and then through the week I'll put up a new poll with some new thoughts and ideas.
Very cool. Oh, and we should mention the winner of our
Yes, the winner.
competition.
Yes, we
So
posted again on the Instagram. We posted a competition about Annabelle's CD case and what CDs were in there, and we had a winner, a correct answer.
yeah, the only correct answer, interestingly enough, and
Mm.
it was a wonderful friend of mine, Reese. So
Yay!
Reese, congratulations, you got it right with Avril Lavigne. You know me
Yeah.
well. He actually said
Congrats,
Avril
Reese.
Lavigne or Evanescence, and I actually used to have an
Ooh,
Evanescence CD, so that was also true back in the day. So he got me in a nutshell, which is awesome.
nice. Um, the prize is currently being shipped to me,
Yeah,
and then when
yeah.
it gets to me, we'll ship it out to Reese.
Yay! And
Which
we'll
is
write a little word of
yeah,
encouragement to eat a
it's a
healthy
nice little.
breakfast.
It's a yeah, oh, it's a nice little. We should write a recipe. We should write the recipe for the waffles on the back.
Oh, that's a great
Oh my
idea.
god! Yeah, the if anyone missed it, the prize was a little like essentially a little card, a little 5x5 card, high-res card of our podcast logo.
Yay.
So of our lovely little pancakes with a nice little message in the back. So maybe we'll put a pancake recipe back there. Maybe we'll put something else back there. I did buy a few, so we have some more left over. So if we decide to do another, if anybody does want one, let us know, and maybe we'll put another competition in or something like that.
Great.
We'll see how it goes.
Okay. Well. Alrighty. Have a lovely rest of your day.
You too. This is the earliest we've ever recorded, so we've still got a whole day left.
Beautiful thing.
But yeah, enjoy your day.
Bye, everybody.
Bye. Have a good breakfast.